corn addict who swears up and down that he's changing, how do you measure progress? So here's a chart that I made based on progression and what I've seen. So way up here, we start with the hidden corn addiction. This usually starts between the ages of 3 and 15 due to trauma or abuse in the home, a child dissociating, or it's just introduced culturally by the family and it's accepted. A lot of corn is, quite frankly, very widely accepted, especially even in homes with children. It's crazy. So, this might be corn, lust, infidelity, dopamine dependency. That's where those things start. So then he marries you, and eventually he usually relapses at some point in the marriage or the relationship. And so you have your discovery day. And this usually happens after a big life event, like a new baby, a home purchase, a new job, etc. And with this, there is a lot of denial and defensiveness, guilt and shame, resistance, and lying. So a lot of you are stuck right here. Now, he might not go into defense mode, and he might eventually come into the acknowledgement mode. Acknowledgement is recognizing that I've caused harm to other people, and there's a need for change. So usually here, there's shame and reluctance to take responsibility. Emotional conflict arises between wanting to change and fearing the process or the consequences. Fear and control. I can handle my recovery by myself. You don't have anything to worry about. Lying to themselves about the severity of their addiction, where their brain now has a chemical dependency and has had that for decades. Now, even though there is acknowledgement here, this can go one of two ways. 99.9% of the time, this is denial. Even this acknowledgement portion is denial. So then we go over here. So we then have being caught in the relapse. And this makes it really difficult because we feel like as women, hey, we've been betrayed and lied to again and again and again. And so we're kind of stuck in this loop of like the corn, hidden addiction, discovery day, acknowledgement, and caught relapsing. And it's really hard to get out of this spin cycle. I just did a video kind of on the beginning process of what that would look like. But here, usually, this typically signals a deeper issue in their journey. And if your partner is unwilling on discovery day to do therapy, I would set a boundary right here that if he does relapse and you catch it, which you will catch it. I don't know what it is, but women have like radar senses to catching this stuff. We can just pick up on the tiniest things with body language and communication, and we just know. We know in our gut. So you will catch him if he relapses again. And when he does, the boundary is you will get therapy and recovery or I'm out, because otherwise you will be stuck in this loop for years and years and years. And who wants to waste their time with that? Ain't nobody got time for that. So this usually is like more defensiveness and denial, withdrawal symptoms, shame, resentment, self-pity, anger. Needs to understand with your boundaries that the recovery is a process and will require these three things. This is really, really important, you all, because a lot of you set one of these boundaries and not all three. All three of these are completely different things. They are not the same. There is recovery, which is usually working with a coach or a therapist to uncover the deep root shame. 2 is accountability, having an accountability partner. That can also be SAA meetings. And lastly, support. They have to have support with a group of men that are going to encourage them in this journey. Otherwise, they will go right back to being with the old friends who support corn and think that they're stupid for giving it up. So this is where we actually start to see progress, is if we can get out of that last stage and go into active change. So they're listening to your boundaries at this point. They're like, yes, I have a problem. I can't get out of this. I need help. That's where you need them to be. I'm going to respect your boundaries. I'm going to do what it takes. What are my next steps? Now, here's where there has to be a little bit of a switch. You are going to set boundaries for what you want him to do, and then you are going to kind of back away. You cannot micromanage and control these people. They either want to change or they don't. You can keep them accountable, but as far as like controlling behaviors, that's only going to make you sick. So active change is when we implement plans to rebuild trust and repair the damage caused. He's going to take accountability, and he is going to start to participate in counseling to get to the root trauma issues. You're then going to see maintenance and growth. So, recognition of harm caused and the need for change, sustaining new behaviors and habits that align with honesty and trustworthiness, honest about relapses once in a blue moon, honest about times they are struggling, has consistency in therapy, accountability, partner meetings, marriage counseling, and support group for men meetings, at least a few of these things, doesn't have to be all. Continuing self-reflection and therapy to avoid relapse into past patterns, strengthening personal values and rebuilding intimacy in the relationship, working to rebuild trust and intimacy, able to identify stopping points and set their own boundaries. Here's the things that you need to do, and you can go ahead and watch all that. Ultimately, you do not need more words. Words are not actions, and you need to see action. And you will see action when they start to implement these things where you're like, whoa, I didn't have to make him go to therapy today and beg and nag. He actually went willingly. Wow, I'm starting to see signs and positive character changes. He's actually starting to listen. He's setting his own boundaries. He's actually found a really great community that is encouraging him to continue down this journey. You will see signs. The biggest sign to me was the vulnerability and the transparency, to where now my husband and I can have these really difficult conversations in a very safe place. We couldn't do that before. The intimacy we have now is like night and day. I thought things were okay before I ever found anything on my discovery day, but man, the work that we've put into our marriage today, sometimes I want to go back to my younger self and go, what were you thinking? Because the intimacy and stuff in our marriage today is so much better.